What is good about America? It's a legitimate question that I hear a lot, because those who ask the question have heard a lot about how bad America is. They heard a lot about America's horrible history, and they seek to understand, or at least to try and turn the spotlight on a different part of America that they themselves have experienced to be good in their lives. And they wonder, in my estimation, I cannot speak for people who are asking this question, but I assume that they wonder, why is there so much of a predominant focus on what is bad about America without balancing that with what is good? Because I hear a lot that there are nuanced approaches to understanding America and America's history, and those nuanced approaches are more credible than the unbalanced focus on what is horrible. And so they ask, well, what is good about America? What is good in America? What have you experienced in America that's good? And they can point to a litany of items, of experiences that any objective observer would consider good. The birth of a child. If you want that child, if you love that child, the birth of a child is good. The safety and security of a home, of a community, the love of people, the nurturing of people around you, the encouragement that you receive from people, the opportunities in America to pursue your aspirations, pursue your dreams, to have some level of opportunity to be mobile along the economic spectrum. So to be born in poverty is not to always remain in poverty. There is opportunity. The opportunity to learn. The opportunity to be who you are in a melting pot of a multiracial, multicultural society, to contribute to this society, to benefit from the society, to enjoy living a lifestyle of relative peace and comfort. These are all good things. And they are all things that exist within America, even under the kinds of systems that we would consider oppressive to select populations within the country. And I would argue that that approach of finding what is good in America is in some ways seeking redemption, absolution, to absolve America of her sins without acknowledging those sins, without repenting of those sins, without asking for forgiveness of those sins, without reconciliation with those who have been harmed, without reparations to those who have been harmed. So without repentance, without reconciliation, without reparations, the approach of asking what is good about America ignores the fact that what is evil about America persists. It did not magically dissipate or disappear. The deeds that were done did not simply obliterate into thin air. The past, P-A-S-T, was passed, P-A-S-S-E-D, down to each generation. The guilty are guilty still. The lands that were stolen remain stolen. The lies that were told remain lies. The people that were killed remain dead. The oppressive nature of the systems remain oppressive. The select nature of those systems in targeting in a biased fashion various populations within the country to oppress for the benefit of those the system favors remains the current condition in our country today. Those who point out those conditions seek a remedy for those conditions. Those who ask what is good about America are seeking redemption, are seeking absolution, are seeking ways to ignore the evil that persists in the systems and institutions of oppression in this country. And that ignorance, that ignoring of the current condition in favor of a more optimistic view inevitably, invariably results in a sustaining of the status quo. The systems of oppression remain because those who are intent on seeking some nuanced balance to the criticism are not seeking a remedy to the problem. Therefore, the approach of asking what is good about America has motivating factors that must be taken into account. Why would someone ask the question, what is good about America, when so much of America, from its very foundation, from its very inception, is built upon a stockpile of evil? What is the purpose in seeking to find goodness in a melting pot of evil in America? What is the purpose of seeking or even asking the question, what is good about America, when we have yet to remedy what is evil about America, when we have yet to resolve the issues at hand. It is akin to asking a woman fresh off of being raped by a gang of violent young men to find goodness in those people at that moment, who have not repented, who have not shown any remorse, who sneer and mock at the very moment that she is being asked, what is good about these people who have done you harm? Is that a disingenuous question? It sounds like it. But what we can be assured of is that the questioner, those who are asking the question, are not engaged in the remedy. Now, there are exceptions to every rule. So if the rule is that those who are asking what is good about America are not engaged in a remedy for the evils that persist in America, if there are exceptions to that rule, there are people who are doing the hard work of seeking to acknowledge, seeking to educate, seeking to inform, seeking to empower people with the truth about America's past that was passed, P-A-S-S-E-D, down to each generation. There are those who are doing that work in white America, who are being asked on the daily, every day, well, you are criticizing America. What is good about America? What do you see as good about America? And those people, to their credit, in order to find a way to have some measure of persuasion or influence on people who ordinarily would not listen, in order to gain some level of credibility in the minds of those who do not know the truth, who do not care about the truth, who do not seek the truth, but are now being exposed to the truth by these well-meaning white people who are trying to educate and inform and empower these people with truth. These people find themselves in a precarious position. How is it that a person who is asking the question, what is good about America, to a person who is expressing the truth, the holistic truth about America's horrid past that was passed, P-A-S-S-E-D, down to each generation, how is it that they can find some measure of common communication with such a person who has rejected knowledge, who isn't seeking knowledge, who is passively enjoying the status quo as a beneficiary of the status quo, who has power within themselves to move the needle of progress if they so desire, but do not because the status quo benefits them. If we are to persuade these people, how is it that someone who desires to persuade a person with such a position can actively adequately and effectively persuade them without having some common level, common ground of understanding. It is a dilemma. Because if you are a person, if you are a white person, well-meaning white person who wants to educate and inform your community about the horrors of this society that did not simply dissipate, about the oppressive nature of the systems that are supported by a majority of white people to this very day, if that is your purpose to persuade, you first have to get them to listen. And in order to get them to listen, if they are coming back at you with the question, what is good about America, you feel compelled to answer that question, to respond to that question in order to find some measure of common communication, common understanding, common ground, common credibility with that individual. You feel compelled to answer the question, what is good about America, because you believe, if you are a well-meaning white person who is on this particular side of the equation of trying to influence other white people to listen and to accept and to be persuaded by your argument about the systemic nature of America's institutions and laws and economic systems and public policies and private sector practices, if your purpose is to convince them that they should rethink their position in supporting and sustaining the status quo, if that is your position, you feel compelled to answer their question in good faith so that they will then listen to your argument, because if they believe that your argument is solely to criticize America, solely to tear down, solely to disparage leaders of the past who are revered in white Christian conservative circles, if they believe that your purpose is to undermine, is to destroy the narrative that they believe and identify with, if they believe that is your purpose, they will not listen to you, they will reject you, they will fear you as an enemy, as an opponent, and they will scheme and strategize, mobilize, organize against you. And so, if you are a well-meaning white person who is intent on taking on this responsibility of convincing, persuading white Christian conservatives to rethink their position in sustaining the status quo of the systems of oppression that persist in this country, if that is your position, then you feel compelled to answer the question, what is good about America? And the moment you do, it is a mistake. Because the asking of the question is being asked by someone who is disingenuous. They're not seeking to hear the whole story. They are not a jury listening to both sides of an argument and asking the question in good faith, well, if you've told me what's bad, tell me what's good. That is not who you're dealing with. The person who is asking you to tell them what is good about America is asking you to co-sign, to support their existing point of view of why America is good and should remain and the way it is and sustain the status quo. They are asking you to join their point of view, to align with their point of view, and they're wondering if you can express anything good about America. And if you do, they will leverage that argument to discount any counter narrative to the notion that America is a beacon of light, a city on a hill, an example of exemplary democracy to the rest of the world, a place that people are clamoring to come to because of her greatness, her benevolence, her opportunity for everyone that comes. Despite her flaws, you will hear that caveat in the explanation of why America is good, why America is great, and ought to be revered from the founding all the way to today, despite its so-called flaws. That is the position of the white Christian conservative who asks, what is good about America? In a disingenuous inquiry. Their purpose of asking the question is to undermine your criticism, is to undermine and discount any negative or disparaging critique about America by getting those who are offering such critique, offering such criticism, to identify, to describe the goodness in America. It is a conversational trap. The way around the trap is to simply express an awareness that those who believe America was great in the past, those who believe that America is great today, those who believe that America's greatness is before her, those who believe that great and America are synonymous terms, those who believe that have an understanding, a perspective of what America is, what America was, what America could be and will be if the right leaders are in place, if the right conditions are created politically. To explain an awareness of that position in such a way that the white Christian conservative will say to you, you do understand the way I feel. You do understand me, because the way that they perceive America is the way that they perceive their identity as an American. And therefore, if you are criticizing America, you're criticizing them in their mind. And so there has to be an understanding that being aware of the dynamics of the conversation with a white Christian conservative, even among a group of white Christian conservatives or white Christian moderates or white Christian or anyone, whatever the political spectrum may be, liberal, progressive, moderate, conservative, if two white people are discussing this issue and one of them holds the premise that America was born on an evil foundation of racial hierarchy, in other words, valuing and devaluing humans by a mythological construct of race and white supremacy, particularly white male supremacy, if one of them holds that view that America was born on that foundation and they intend or have a aspiration to persuade, to convince the other individual who holds conservative views, who holds a lofty view of America's historic past and present and future, if the intent is to persuade. And the question comes up, well, what is good about America? The dynamics of why that question came up, what the purpose and motivation of the person asking the question is, are all in play. And the person to whom that question is directed must understand that they are now susceptible to a trap, a conversational trap. And they must find a common ground of understanding with the individual who is asking the question, because that individual is asking, do you understand me? Do you understand my identity? Am I good? Is there any good in me? Because I believe in America. I believe in the founding fathers. I believe in the systems they put into place. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the flag. I believe in the national anthem. I believe in this country as a white male-dominated society that was established on systems that I believe are still good for everybody. And that is who I am, and I identify as an American because I identify with those systems, with the history. I identify with the goodness of America. So I'm asking you, what is good about America? Because I'm asking you, what is good about me? And you have to answer that in a way that lets that person know that you understand them and that there is goodness in them, even though they are identifying with evil systems. And if you cannot provide a sufficient and adequate and acceptable description, a response to that question, it is best to walk away from that question. It is best to leave them wondering whether or not you even know what is good about America, because they are wondering if you know what is good about them. And that is an important lesson that we must understand when we're engaged with these people who are seeking absolution, who are seeking redemption of their own identity without showing remorse, without showing acknowledgement, without showing any type of repentance, without showing any type of reconciliation, without showing any or demonstrating any reparations for the wrongs that were done in this society. These people seek absolution and redemption of who they are and who they identify as without doing the work necessary. And that's the reason why they ask the question, what is good about America? And we must understand that. And we must be aware that when we respond to that question, we're responding to their identity, we're responding to their understanding of who they are, and we must speak to that, to let them know that they have good qualities. They have the capacity to do good, to be good, and yet, even Jesus said, those of you who are evil still know how to do good. Who would, if his son asked him for bread, give him a stone? So if you, who being evil, know how to do good, how much more so can your Father in heaven, who has never done evil or been evil? So even Jesus acknowledges that there's evil in the world, there are evil in people, there are evil in systems and institutions, and we who support evil institutions, evil systems, still as individuals can do good. So there is good in society because individuals can do good and yet still support the evil and oppressive institutions and systems that are doing evil to masses of populations around the country.